Hello there. Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, October 15th, and I am Rob, aka That Developer Dad, and we're building the or we're designing the admin portal that is going to facilitate like the businessy goop that needs to exist around the DM's familiar product that I'm getting ready to launch. I don't need everything in this admin system in place before I launch. I can do these things manually if I have to for a little while I build it out. But I do have some real world stuff that needs to fall into place before I can actually start asking people for money to use this thing. So this week is all about requirements gathering and design. I want to finish the week having a decent static design, and that means having an idea of the components that I need to build in order to manifest this administrative portal for my product. So let's jump in. Yesterday and this morning, I clarified the list of use cases, and the use cases are basically just what are the things that I want to be able to do with this piece of software, and we want to be able to handle new customer signups, subscription renewals, whether it's triggered manually by myself or a customer, or the e-commerce service that I'm going to be engaging with. They can pause their monthly subscription. Like, let's say they're going on vacation for a couple of weeks and they're not going to be using it, but they don't want to be chewing up their time. They'll be able to pause and resume on dates that they wish to do so, if they so choose. Discontinuing their subscription, I hope it doesn't happen, but it will. I have a pretty realistic view of how people work. I sign up for and cancel subscriptions all the time. And the basic cancellation, it'll just say, okay, we'll stop billing you. You can keep using the paid features until X date. Sometimes you'll have a situation where somebody needed to cancel and forgot and is canceling immediately and needs a refund. We can prorate when that oh no moment happens for them. Hopefully that'll be rare, but it will happen, so we do need to account for it. I also want to fixes a spelling mistake. Commit. There we go. All right. I also want to build in some ability for me to sort of move the AI prompt definitions out of the code base and into something that's more manageable, and iteratable on the fly. Reason being, if I want to tweak or make changes to one of the existing AI prompts that's used by the DM's familiar, I don't want to have to redeploy the entire application to do that. That's going to have a negative impact on user experience, especially if I redeploy while one of my users is in the middle of running a game session and then suddenly their helper goes unresponsive for as long as it takes for the system to come back up post deployment. And sometimes that activity does take a few minutes, and that's not going to be a smooth experience, and I want to avoid that. I also am going to need to be able to store details about the subscriptions and the products and what different subscription levels provide to the customers on a monthly or ongoing basis. I'm going to need to store that stuff in my local database so that I can update things like quotas, limits, so on and so forth, as those limits refresh or not. There are some resources that are used in this that they're going to have like a lifetime of your subscription limit, and then there's going to be other things that have a monthly subscription limit that refreshes with each billing period that passes. So we've started detailing some of these use cases. And I'm doing all of this documentation work inside GitHub itself. I'm just putting everything into Markdown files right inside the docs folder in the repository. Now, once I've got all these things detailed, I'm going to be able to analyze the use case documentation and start to spot common activities that maybe just vary based on the type of data that is being acted upon. I'm going to spot different steps that that are essentially the same activity or the same task, but it's operating on different types of data and so on. And that's going to help us distill what aspects of the software are going to be widely shared within the system, and also what aspects of the software are going to change frequently or may need to change frequently or drastically. And I'm talking about the axes of volatility, and high rate of change I call delta, and widely shared for a particular component interface, I refer to that as the sigma vector. I haven't come up with a better Greek letter, but delta fits change. Sigma seems to fit widely used or popular for that case. So I have been working from a sort of rough idea of what the static architecture is going to be. Like I've got a customer manager, a sales manager, product manager, or product management workload or activities, and that's the things like updating subscription and quota details, updating the AI stuff, rule sets. If I wanted to, say, bring in a Pathfinder rule set or create a brand new custom rule set out of my own imagination, I'll be able to start creating those as database stored structures instead of hard-coded structures like I'm doing for the 5e SRD, the Creative Commons version of the D&D 5e rules. So we're going to be handling all of those sort of maintenance and management tasks around the DM's familiar inside the product management area. That one I might defer because it's less urgently needed than customer and sales management. But I still want to ideate on these aspects now because they may reveal things that I can improve in the main product as well. or perhaps even reveal components that could be shared between this application and the main software product. So I don't expect this static architecture to remain as is for very long. Now, before we can really dive into what the system's going to look like from a component level, we need to list out the details for each of these use cases. And this morning, I listed out the happy path for a new customer sign up. I need to look into the unhappy paths that exist, like the e-com transaction may fail. And how does our system need to respond to that unsuccessful subscription sign up portion? Do we give them access to the free to use portions of the application, or do we just lock them out? Do we unroll the creation of their login and user profile? Stuff like that. We need to make those decisions, and we need to document what those decisions are so that we can turn those decisions into running, executing code. But I'm not going to really brainstorm much on what happens if the e-com transaction is unsuccessful. What happens if the event that's sent into my system from the e-com service is invalid, things like that. This is going to require research of what to expect from the e-commerce service provider. That's a more technical driven piece of design. This is more a business choice piece of design. So why don't I, in the documentation right now, just go ahead and if e-commerce transaction is unsuccessful, and I'm just going to put this in italics, not specified yet. This part of the requirement needs to be a business level decision that I'll think about and document once I've got some ideas. If new subscription purchased event data is valid, if new subscription purchased event data is not valid, and instead of unsuccessful, not successful. And again, parens, not yet determined, need to research what could be coming in from the e-com service and in which ways might this data be invalid. Also, what is the rollback mechanism with the e-com service? my system is unable to complete the transaction for that customer. How can I prevent that disconnect? Save. Commit. Added notes about unhappy paths through this use case. Adds TBD notes through this use case. I have research and thinking to do about the excuse me, ones I've identified so far. Commit. There we go. New customer sign up. So let's take a look at use cases. Oh, you're not going to let me. You dirty rats. Here we go. I'll pop use cases into a new window. I bet I've already got it in a window somewhere. Pardon me. What's this? That's the main repository list. I can close that. Let me clean up my Safari windows real quick here. Pardon me. Just got over COVID and it's fall allergy season. I love it. Markdown quick reference, docs at main, use cases, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. All right. So I've got my use cases. Come on, Rob. Okay, here's the use cases list. Groovy. So we've got this one documented. So why don't I edit this file and, oops, here we go. Now, I need my markdown cheat sheet, and let's see here. Inline images, reference links, some text with a link, some text with another link. Okay, so square brackets. I'm just going to go ahead and copy pasta this nonsense. Copy. And what I want to do so that I can keep track is paste here, new customer sign up. And I believe I can do / use cases / new customer sign up .md use case detailed new customer sign up steps. Now let's preview this and see if that works. Cancel. Let's commit. Adds link to new customer sign up documentation on its bullet point. Commit changes. Let's see if that works. Okay, I didn't quite get it. So we have to edit. /docs/ commit. Yeah, just go ahead and commit it. Let's try this now. Beautiful. Beautiful. And let's go here. Can we right align something with Markdown? Code blocks, syntax highlighting, headers, definition lists. Go away. Markdown. Right aligned text. Justify align in Markdown. Inline HTML tags. Okay. So to pull off what I want to do here is, well, first, back, and then /docs/ use cases .md back to use case list. Now let's commit these. Commit. Yeah, I know. I'm not leaving a message on there. Lovely. Now, what I want to do is I want to push that over to the right. So, div style equals text align right. Boop. Come out to the end, /div. What are you doing? Div style /div. Save. Oops, save doesn't work. Preview does. Edit. I don't think it liked what I did there. Let's try committing. Oh yeah, it doesn't like that at all. Maybe I need to do it like this. I bet the Markdown parser doesn't like. Nope. All right, that's fine. Can't do what I wanted to do, but because we can't do that the way I want it to. I'll do this. I don't know why I'm continually hitting the save hotkey combo, but back to use case list. All right. So let's add a new file. And it's going to go to use cases slash and let's see here, docs at main. I want to actually look at this file. And it's subscription renewal .md. And let's do this. Subscription renewal. And I'll go grab that back thing from over here. I'm going to edit. Control C. Control V. And when the e-commerce service renews a customer's monthly subscription, we'll boldify that. Adds the documentation file for subscription renewal, use case, commit. Okay, here's subscription renewal, good. Since we've got this open, cancel, go back to the use case list, and I want to edit this. And subscription renewal. Just put spaces in there. There's no need to call it like that. And I'm going to grab this, drop it here. Subscription renewal.md, detailed subscription renewal steps. Commit, save, pull this over here, edit, put that in, and one with a dot. Commerce service auto renews a customer's subscription. 2. E-com service sends a notification to this system about the transaction attempt. Via webhook call. Derp 3. Webhook code verifies the source of the message and validates that its content, that the message data is well formed. If the webhook invocation is both verified and valid, if the webhook invocation is not verified as from an expected sender, if the data in the webhook invocation is not well formed. And I'm going to put our unhappy paths above the happy path. Webhook shall return the appropriate HTTP code, most likely a 401 unauthorized or a 403 forbidden You know what? I want to review HTTP error codes 400 series because these have to do with the validity of the request. All right, Internet Numbers Authority, yeah. The request contains bad syntax or cannot be fulfilled, so it's absolutely a 400 series. Let's see. Oh, that occurs to me that I should specify which error code is returned to the sender of the webhook on the new customer sign up. Here we go. 400 bed request. Size too large, invalid request message framing or deceptive request routing. Unauthorized. Forbidden. Payment required. Not going to mess with that. Action. Proxy authentication. Conflict. Gone. Preconditions that the requester put on that. URI too long. I'm a teapot. Locked. Too early. Too many requests. Unavailable for legal reasons. Yeek. Okay, so we're looking at either a 400 or a 403. Most likely a 400. Bad request. Or 403 forbidden. The API documentation for the e-commerce service may specify which error codes are expected from these webhook calls. If the data in the webhook invocation is not well formed, webhook shall respond to the incoming request with the appropriate HTTP error code as above. Add details once this research has been done. If the webhook invocation is both verified and valid, send whichever HTTP success status code in the response back to the ecom service. See their docs for what's expected here. Forward the webhook data to the appropriate endpoint on this system's admin API. There we go. And when the renewal event data arrives at the administrative API endpoint, one, retrieve the current subscription and quotas for the customer identified in the event data. 2, retrieve any product quota information data for the subscription type for the SKU specified in the event data. 3, update any quotas that have a refresh each month. 4, save the customer's subscription back to permanent storage. 5, send a thank you email. No, don't send a thank you email to the customer for having their subscription renewed automatically. That feels dirty, but it's fine. When the renewal event data arrives at the administrative API endpoint, and that's actually incorrect. 1, validate that the data in the event is correct for a renewal operation. Ooh, Z. 2, 3, 4, 5. Dot. Okay. See below for invalid scenarios. The reminder that 9 of 12 posted in the chat, isn't the reminder that their subscription renewed the right thing to do? Yes and no. We don't get emails from Netflix or Microsoft or Paramount Plus or Disney every month when our subscription renews from them. Morally, from my ethical perspective, I feel like it would be a polite thing to do to say, hey, thanks for your payment. On the other hand, if I'm running software as a service and it's subscription based and everything like that, sending thank you emails every time we bill somebody acts as a reminder that, oh crap, I'm still subscribed to this and I don't want to be anymore, so I'm going to cancel. So it creates churn. Honestly, I feel like that needs some thought. I'm going to add this as a step. It might be one of those things that like a business person would say, "Oh, that's stupid. You're just going to create churn." But I'm gonna be the change. Send a thank you for your continued business. Email to the customer when processing is complete. Yeah, I know it's not business savvy, but it is considerate of my customers. Be the change. Yeah, that's an excellent point. 9 to 12. Financially speaking, I want to hang on to my customers for as long as for as long as I possibly can. But I know how it feels to go, oh crap, I've been paying for my Planet Fitness membership for the past 6 years, and I haven't gone since COVID still had us hiding in our houses. Um, I feel pretty bad about myself, and I kind of beat myself up a bit. So, yeah, I think the thank you for your continued business email. Um, Brainstorm ways to add value with these messages on a monthly basis, i.e., tip of the month, news about new features under development, free samples that I've created, etc. And that's really about it. Um, Invalid scenarios. Invalid renewal scenarios. Well, usually these reminders don't happen until after the automatic transaction has happened. And I am going to keep it as a, hey, you just paid us again. Thanks so much for that. And hopefully, best case scenario is they go, oh, crap. I want to go play with this some more. Least good case is, oh, I really should discontinue that. All right, so click discontinue my subscription, and they don't ask for their money back. Worst case scenario is, oh crap, I haven't used this in 3 years. I wonder how much of a refund I can get. And then they start a fight. And me being a big softy, I'm going to start with, okay, well, I'll cancel and refund your $10 right now. But then if they come back and say, I haven't used this in 3 years, I'll actually have the data to look and say, oh shit, you haven't used this in 3 years. I can give you half of that back, maybe, or what have you. But yeah. Hey, C Films, what's happened? Invalid renewal scenarios. The customer discontinued their subscription in the subscription is not the subscription being renewed was marked as discontinued. Derp. Discover why the e-com service renewed it anyway and prevent this from happening to anyone if possible. The customer doesn't have a local login or profile. That's an excellent point, 9 to 12. By sending a thank you email every time I bill, it kind of puts the onus back on the customer to remember to discontinue their account if they no longer want to subscribe. So, they could say, you've been billing me for so many years and I haven't logged in since the Reagan administration. I could say, well, I've sent you an email thanking you for your business every month when we've billed you. You've had ample notice and ample opportunity to discontinue. Here's this month's back. The rest is on you. So, yeah. Hopefully, I'm an LLC by the time that happens, because I could see some arsehole deciding to take me to court over it. Customer doesn't have a local login or profile. Should never happen, but it might via some weird combination of circumstances. Terms of service, yeah. Yep, all of these things are things that I'm going to have to stand up. Privacy policies, end user license agreements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of the legalese. It's a good thing we know a friendly lawyer who can help me draft and revise those for free. Customer doesn't have a local login or profile because it should never happen. Invalid renewal scenarios. So subscription being renewed is marked as discontinued. Yeah. A certain Nine Inch Nails fan who can no longer operate a practice for money, but he can do things like some things that require lawyers for friends as favors legally. He hasn't given up his licensure, but he no longer has a registered practice. Okay. Customer doesn't have a local login or profile. I'm trying not to give away names in a public forum. I don't want to dox the dude. The project is going really, really well, C Films. Last week's streams got the product to the point where I can call it a minimum viable product. Now I'm thinking about a administrative application that goes around all of that kind of takes care of the business processes that I'm going to have to deal with in operating this product and offering it for sale. This week is all about identifying and documenting the different use cases for this system. And then once I've got these use cases documented, I can take a look and see, okay, well, these are common aspects of all of them. I can see how this aspect is different here, here, and here. I can see how this aspect is going to need to evolve over time. And from that analysis of volatility, I'll be able to design the actual software at the code level in a way that will allow me to be very, very agile with this administrative system. It's the same techniques that I used when I was designing the actual DM's Familiar product, and I'm going to really be able to reap the benefits when I get back to adding features to that. All right, so the subscription being renewed was marked as discontinued by the customer. The SKU in the renewal event data doesn't exist in the local systems. I didn't really tap him for that part, but when I was talking about starting my own thing as a sort of mercenary solo consultant a few months ago, I was entertaining that idea at the beginning of my job search. And I had anticipated that going that route would be an absolute nightmare from a business point of view. Like just all of the clerical work and sales and marketing and all of that nonsense. The project is deployed in Azure. I'm going to say it's in alpha. I have some real world things that I need to get resolved before I can start inviting people to sign up for the private beta. Because anybody using it, unless they're paying for it, is going to be money out of my pocket, and I ain't got any money in my pocket right now. So unfortunately, I can't do like a free trial or hey, help me find the bugs and fix the problems for you get to use it for free while I do it. It's going to be more like a founders club type thing, where the first 10, 20 people that I get to sign up for it, maybe not even 10, like 5 to 10 or maybe 10 to 20 people that I invite personally to sign up and become customers of this thing would have access to me directly through, say, a Discord server and private channel in that server that I create. They'll be able to see the roadmap, like features that I'm thinking about adding, so that they could say, oh yes, I would love that feature, or why don't you add this instead of pursuing these features, that kind of thing. I kind of give them some investment in the growth of the product as we go. That would be like a higher tier that either early adopters or people who would say, you know what, I'll invest $20 a month and join the Founders Club. Or, nah, you know what, I can't afford $20 a month, but I can do 10. And cool, so 10, access to the software. 20, access to the software and me. And of course, I've got some friends who are college students who will probably, like, they're players in my D&D game. They'll probably sign up for the $10 a month tier, but they'll have access to me. I'll listen to them. So yeah, the 20 is for old dudes like myself that have disposable income and want to support me. Basically, the SKU and the renewal event data doesn't exist in the local system. That's likely a data entry error and should be discovered during testing, but you know how that kind of thing goes needs to be accounted for and handled here. Excuse me. Unverified sender event should be logged with sender IP. Any information we can get about the HTTP request. Malformed event data should be logged that we received malformed event data should be logged with any info we can get from the request, as well as which elements of the event data were invalid. Redact actual values in logs. Okay. Log that the event was received and forwarded for processing. Log the execution of the event process, successful or otherwise, with execution times, etc. of activities and steps, etc. Subscription being renewed was marked as discontinued. For any of these exception cases, make sure to write log entries for analysis purposes. The job hunt is continuing. I had the third interview with a company that I am very, very, very enthusiastic about working with. I had my third interview yesterday with their CTO, actually, and I feel like it was a good, productive conversation. He and I seemed to vibe quite nicely. It was an easy flow, easy to talk to. I got the impression that he liked what he heard. So now I'm just kind of like lighting candles and burning incense and, dropping pennies around the candle and writing wishes on bay leaves and stuff like that, trying to bend reality into my favor. So it's wait, cast spells, pray, and keep my fingers crossed time until I hear back from the recruiter. So here's hoping. Now, if I do end up working full time again soon, like with this group, I'm going to have to obviously transition my streaming schedule to weekday evenings, maybe a weekend during the day session now and then. I'll have to rework my my stream and content creation schedule around that. So yeah, I hope it works out because the corporate mission is really great. It's all about they're all about improving the quality and accessibility of healthcare for populations that currently perhaps don't have as much access and so on. And the team, like everybody that I've spoken to at the company, is really smart and has a good head on their shoulders in terms of how the work happens. So I've got high hopes. Like it's not just a case of yeah, I want to work with you guys because I need a job. It's I want to work with you guys because I want to work with you guys. And oh crap, misspelling. So yeah, I've got my fingers crossed, but at this point, it is out of my hands, and I'm hoping for the best. So to that, I actually have some adulting that I need to do out in the real world. I had transferred some funds from a long-term savings account to my bank, and it had to be done by the long-term savings organization, sending me a paper check, and they put my name on it, but they put my name on it in a form that my bank didn't recognize, and it's been just stupid. So the bank finally sent us copies of the checks that we can take into the bank physically and say, yes, this is me, I promise, and hope that the manager's in a good mood and says, okay, we can honor those and deposit them to your account. Bureaucratic corporate red tape nonsense. But I do need to do that. And once that's done, I can actually open the business account for that developer dad and sign up for a payment processor and actually start the stuff needed to make the DMs familiar a live service. So today, I've been working through documenting these use cases, all of the steps, the happy paths, the unhappy paths, the expectations of what the software is going to do. Very thin on the how so far, but the how doesn't matter. We don't care about the how. We want to get the what sorted out first. And then once we have a solid understanding of the what, we can start to compress all of these whats down to a few things that we need to code. And then we configure each of those blocks of code and combine them together, snapping them together like Legos to form these whats. And that's the journey that we're going to be on. So this week, it's all about discovery, documentation, thinking, poking holes in the requirements, all of that stuff. Because once we know what we got to do, the how, it's just typing in some C#. So, thanks for joining me, folks. I think we've had a productive couple of days so far. I got to go be an adult. Boo. But I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and happy coding.